Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus here live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is Wednesday the 16th of May 2018. Let's have a look at what's making the political news today. And to start off with, it's a Labour push for Brexit Publications. Now, Labour will try and force, reportedly, the release of internal Brexit War Cabinet papers relating specifically to the Customs Union. This is according to what's coming through this morning in the newswires. And how they're going to do this, though, is quite particular, and it's also quite historic as well. Jeremy Corbyn is reportedly going to table a humble address motion demanding the publication of papers, presentations and economic analysis on government's two proposed customs models. Now there's some concern. Now the concern here is that if the government released the papers as a result of the War Cabinet discussions, it will be revealed there are some concerns within government over the legality and the legal implications of the two customs proposals. Now Attorney General Jeremy White has reportedly been asked to provide an urgent opinion on the legality of the two customs proposals currently in place, which is of course the maximum facilitation option and the new customs partnership option, which are currently to be being decided by the government. But remember, Labour have had repeated success using the humble address motion, which is a sort of very old school way of doing it in Westminster, in order to force through the government to release papers. John Bercow, the Speaker, did declare that the humble address is a binding vote, and therefore if something passes, the government is bound to the outcome of what the vote says. Can the Tories hold it off? That's the question. Now, they have been able to do that in the past, in the most recent past, actually. The whips found the numbers to ensure that they could block the publication, particularly of internal documents relating to the Windrush crisis, due to offering a Tory MP three-line whip. The vote's at about 7 o'clock this evening, so we'll find out then. But if the Conservatives obviously lose, or they give way, or they decide to allow the publication of the Brexit documents, we might find some interesting analysis from the government's own civil servants inside, specifically from the Attorney General as well. Something to keep an eye on later on today. Next up, still on Brexit, this time looking at devolved assemblies, specifically in Scotland. Now, Holyrood, the Scottish Parliament, home of the Scottish Parliament, voted to withhold consent for the European Union Withdrawal Bill, which is the main piece of legislation going through the Commons at the moment relating to Brexit. Now, the dispute mainly is centred over the idea of devolved powers and where should devolved powers go when they come back from Brussels. Should they go to the devolved assemblies, so for in case in Holyrood, or should they go back to Westminster and then be moved on from there if necessary? Now, the SNP obviously want those powers, which they see as devolved powers, to come straight back to the Scottish Parliament. Westminster, however, have different ideas, or rather the government have different ideas. They want to regain some of that control. Now, technically, the government doesn't need the Scottish Parliament's approval or blessing in order to continue with the EU withdrawal bill. But in terms of politics, in terms of perception, it plays well for the SNP. As a rallying cry for particularly First Minister Nicola Sturgeon in the photo there, to vote down the nasty Brexit, and despite that the UK government in Westminster still pushing Scotland through what they have democratically voted against. It's a very good narrative and something that Nicola Sturgeon is clearly looking to push as well. Potentially in the hope that it will push the independence case for Scotland through having a constitutional crisis of some sorts between Holyrood and Westminster. Again, that's something to be aware of. How that develops in terms of the devolved powers, again, we'll be finding out in the next few weeks. And finally, one more story. If you haven't got your tickets to Jezfest, you're one of many, many people. It's nicknamed Jezfest. It's actually called London Live. It takes place on the 16th of June at White Hart Lane Recreation Ground in Tottenham. Now, why is this in the news? It became reported yesterday that the upcoming, it's a pro-Jeremy Corbyn music festival, has had troubled over ticket sales. Has not been able to sell the tickets they wanted. It's been nicknamed Labour Dive, reportedly by cynical staffers. Speakers include Jeremy Corbyn, Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell, Owen Jones and Rachel Shubby. It's a 20,000 capacity event, but the reports are from last week that only 1,800 tickets have actually been shifted so far. But with a ticket price of £35, quite a high price, relatively, potentially, for people who are looking to go. But clearly, it's a bit of an embarrassment for Labour Party, those reports, and maybe you'll get some more lines on that or a response from that later on today as well. That's pretty much it for today. You're up to date. Don't forget you can find all the latest of what we're doing here on Core Politics on our Facebook page and Twitter just right here. But from me and all the team here at Core London, have a fantastic start to your day.